Hello dear World of Warcraft friends, welcome back to a new video on my channel. Today we're going to talk about an interaction regarding a bug in patch 12.0.7 that's really making waves. All in all, simply put, patch 12.0 introduced a bug into the game, players reported it, and Blizzard responded to it in the forum, but that's exactly the problem. This response left many players stunned and led to statements like, yeah, Blizzard doesn't even play their own game, or Blizzard has no idea about their own game. At this point, I'll try to keep myself in check a bit better in the future. I'll summarize for you what was said. These statements like Blizzard doesn't play their own game, whatever, don't come from me. Make up your own mind. And with that, let's get started. Feel free to write in the comments. Let me know how you see it. And if you like my videos, please leave a like and subscribe. And yes, help me or help us so that the channel can continue to grow as a community. Yeah, what happened? Pretty simple. With patch 12.0, new zones were added to the game, Val and Natal. And in the end, that meant there were, for example, new world quests, a new campaign, whatever. So, new content. Now, when you're in Natal, and I have to admit, I've only read about this because I haven't actually been active in that zone myself yet. But at certain points you get an extra action button through a quest, which lets you use an ability. The problem with this is, as soon as you're in the area, it gets displayed to you, and then you have the ability stuck here in the middle of the screen. The problem is, when you leave the area again, the ability doesn't disappear. So basically, you have this extra action button stuck in the middle of your interface the whole time. And that's really a thorn in the side for a lot of players. This is about this light hook grapple here. Pull yourself to a nearby mushroom, reduces your falling speed until cancelled. So you have to take the whole thing to be able to swing yourself from mushroom to mushroom. And we can see here at this point, the whole thing had already been reported 15 days earlier by the time you're seeing this video. As of today, the icon is stuck in the middle of my screen and no method I tried was able to remove it. So players already reported this at the beginning of July, okay? The thing just doesn't disappear from the screen. A lot more people reported it after that. Then a few days later, it's still there, even when you leave Naigtal. The only workaround that seems to exist at this point, at least from what I've read, is to take this ability and put it in the action bar. Then apparently that little thing in the middle of the screen disappears. And here someone else also wrote that you need to invite a low-level character to your group. After that, turn on party synchronization so that you get leveled down to the level of the player. And as soon as that's done, the extra action button will disappear for you. You can leave the party and the button shouldn't show up again. So far, so good. Here's the thing now. The players have actually been reporting this in the forum for a very, very long time. So we can see it here. The thread in question was created on July 2nd, light hook grapple button bug. You can't get rid of that extra button when you are not in Negatal or Val. That annoyed a lot of players. And besides the fact that many players reported the whole thing through the official bug report, it was also discussed in the forum, as you can see here. A few workarounds were also posted there. And in the end, Blizzard got back to us after a few days. And that, yeah, more or less annoyed people. First of all, I can confirm that our developers are currently investigating this issue. So they're taking care of it. They want to investigate the whole thing. And then 10 days later, the answer came from the same Blizzard employee. After investigation by the development team, this is apparently and technically working as intended, and we do not plan on changing how this works at the moment. So they say they've investigated the whole thing. And yes, the button works as intended, so it appears as it should. and they have no plans to fix the whole thing or change it in any way. And accordingly, you can imagine that the responses to it are not very positive. For example, here someone writes, I can't even put into words how surprised I am about this decision. Could you please explain why the whole thing is suddenly stuck in the middle of the screen? It wasn't like that the first week. And why is the whole thing now considered to be working as planned? So the players are saying in the end, or everyone here said, it's obviously a bug that the whole thing doesn't disappear. How does Blizzard get the idea that this is intentional? And why does it work like that as intended? Then a little later, another mod spoke up. And there they say they have no details to report on when a bug fix will come. And they say they're still looking into the situation. And here this Farani says, yes, what the previous staff member said is true. So everything is working as intended. However, the way I read it, Blizzard is referring to the fact that this button simply appears in the middle of the screen. Yes, that's working as intended, meaning that it pops up. They probably aren't referring to it disappearing. And now they're saying here that they're listening to the community's feedback and so on. It's important to them, but there's just nothing to report yet. And yeah, in the end, here are more comments. We don't believe you. It just can't be that you can't get rid of this button. Then the whole thing was apparently hotfixed a bit later. But in the end, the damage was already done, and the whole thing also went pretty viral on Reddit. Here, they can't be serious. We investigated the whole thing and didn't find any problems. And as a result, there were a lot of comments saying, yeah, no idea, just a generic answer. They don't even play their own game, and so on and so forth. What's your opinion on this? Is the outrage justified, or do you say, nope, I can't understand why the players were so pissed off? Share your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for watching. See you next time, and take care.